Yeah, it's
So,
pretty
anyways,
interesting too, because
yeah.
when I was quickly scanning one article, that was my research, um, it yeah, it brought up the fact that yeah, they may not necessarily know what they signed up for, right? Because there was this specifically it brought up this individual from I think Congo or something like that. And, like he thought he was just gonna uh, take care of the elephants or something. But yeah, lo and
Oh,
behold,
wow.
they just showcased them just like the Igorots and stuff. And I think
Hmm.
in that article too, they were saying there were it wasn't just Igorots. There was others from Philippines, but the Igorots were the
Mm-hmm.
most popular because they
They're
were the
savage.
most yeah they were
Yeah.
the most savage and the most uncivilized, and they they got
Supposedly,
them
yeah.
yeah they got them to um, what's it called cook and eat dog every day.
That must be
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
yeah.
old though. Thinking about like, we're gonna eat dog again. Ah,
For
I mean, they. Yeah,
I
I
like
know.
you think
I
about like
eat hot dogs
just
every day, man.
like really, we're gonna eat that again? Come
Like, where are the
on. I
vegetables,
want to
man?
try the hot
Where are the
dog. I want that pork sausage there. That would just get
Yeah,
too
can you give
old.
us a pig?
but
Yeah,
Christ's sake.
that's what
yeah.
they had
Hey,
to
can we
show.
try that
That's
Texas barbecue? Come on. I
I
mean,
Just a few
could eat
toes
pig.
down.
yeah,
True,
I
so
mean,
true.
it's pretty
No,
interesting how they had to showcase them, and that's the only thing I was trying to bring up was just so they were showcasing Igorots like that, and then as opposed to us presenting. I mean, it's very different, but I mean, I think some people would can try to pull similarities between the two,
Mm.
and
mm.
that's really what I meant by what do you guys think about the differences and what's making our traditions as performances? How does that lie with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think you can make some parallels with it being if you know the history, because for a
Mm-hmm.
layperson they'd see the performances and be like, oh, this is really cool. It's and for in an innocent like perspective too, it's like you're just showcasing your thing. But if for someone who may know the history, you can draw parallels towards it. And
Mm.
for me personally, I come from a camp where it is kind of a stretch to be like, oh, they're just repeating history, or we're repeat because like our guys, like I don't personally perform, but our young people, they perform at several events and
Yeah.
whatnot. And for the audience who don't know even who we are, they just see it as a cool cultural thing if they know some of it. But to other people, they just see it as just a show. And then for
Right.
I think it comes to a personal view or the individual to take it how they want to. Because for me, if I were to perform, and if it was somebody who was paying me or was forcing me to perform, then I can draw the comparisons to be like, this is exactly like the World's Fair. Whereas for me, if I wanted to just perform for BBAC, or BBAC is holding an event where they're showcasing, it's within our prerogative. It's within our own choice, right? So it's different in that sense. But I can see where you're getting at, Gerald, where you're trying to make or you're trying to push the conversation into trying to make comparisons, which is I think it's a really good
Mm.
conversation, especially for the young people, because like even for me, I don't really know much of the history, like the full history. I just know what I've read on the internet and what I can tell.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if my parents have an opinion on this, right? So it. I think for me, it's just it really depends on your perspective and what you think of it. So that's
so
my take on it.
back in the '90s, when I was going to college, I went to San Francisco State and took a lot of ethnic studies courses. There was a film that came out called Bontoc Eulogy by Marlon Fuentes, and
Yeah.
it highlighted the 1904 World's Fair. And even though part of the story is fictionalized, to give a connection to it, the imagery and the story and the mystery of what happened to all of these folks kind of like was really amazing. Now, one of the interesting things about that film is that he uses the films that are housed at the Smithsonian, and he repeats a lot of the film in there, for the historical film, in it. It's repeated numerous times throughout the film, almost as a way to imply that they were doing this stuff day in and day out. And it's pretty clever how he does it. But that film really brought about a lot of questions, and it questions the whole idea of like imperialism and its aftermath. It also questions what effect it has on the people who are viewing it and also the people who are performing it. I think for us, as we look at some film like that, that does have some fictionalized aspect to it, but it also has some truth, we're also dealing with, okay, so how do we share some of the aspects of our culture to our own folks, but also share it to other people? So the question to me will be authenticity. Are we really being authentic to who we are? And are we sharing being authentic in how we actually not really perform, but how we present these kind of like rituals? Is there a sense of real, of something that's real? Does it have soul? Does it still have meaning? Or is it something that we just do because, hey, they're going to give our organization $500 to do it, for our nonprofit, and we could use it for a scholarship? It's. I think we have to question that and see where the real meaning is in there. So I would say that the question would be about authenticity, and that goes across the boards because I think different groups and different folks and different families will offer this as a gift to the communities that they're part of. And I think to me that's as basic as you can get with authenticity. Is that you're offering this as a gift to this wider community and also a gift to your own kids, to the next generation. So I would,
Yeah, that. Sorry, go ahead.
well, I'd like to see more of us sharing that. But I get it. It's foreign to a lot of people. I mean, most people want to kind of like do things that are familiar, and because there's so much nuance in learning, just simply like just playing the gong, playing the gangsta. There's so much nuances in there, and previous generations were very guarded how they teach it, or they taught in Philippine style. So the Philippine style is you just follow, but that doesn't teach you the details. They just say listen. But if you're not from the Philippines with a good listening ear, then this stuff rides over your head, and it takes you even longer to figure it out. There's a certain nuance to how to play, how to dance these things, and so I think, for what it's worth, if you're trying it out at home, wherever you are, I think that's what comes close to being authentic. Is that if it has some sort of soul in it, yeah, some sort of thing that you want to pass down. So I mean, in my room, I have a whole bag of gangsa, but
Ooh, that's a nice
you might,
case.
Bring it with you everywhere.
and I bring it everywhere. Now, not every family has these things. I get it, and my family seems to have an overabundance of it. But
Sure.
and that's by intention, I think, because there was a really a sense of wanting to learn it. I think if anything that we can do in terms of like it's just sparking some sort of interest in our young folks and in all our people to be able to share aspects of who they are. I remember the priest at my church, Father Gerlin. He used to have this quote, and it still sticks with me. He would always say, "You have to know who you are because in America," and I think this is definitely true for Igorots who are outside of our everywhere in our diasporas out there. You have to know who you are, or else that other person will tell you who you are, and you might not like it. And it also becomes the gift that you share with other people. That understanding of who you are really becomes a gift. And so I think that that's part of our obligation is to be able to share that with others, to be able to find some sort of authenticity in the ways that we are. And I know that some people can do it, they just do it differently than other folks. I think that if we live and let live and kind of like understand, the context of how people are coming to learn this, especially now that we're a global diaspora, I think that's what we can do to honor the legacies that we have.